Hi everyone, it's Samantha Tennant, and welcome to another video book club with Fresh Fiction. Today, our guest author is Toni Anderson, who is here with her latest book, Cold Truth. And if you are not familiar with Toni, she is a New York Times, USA Today best-selling author, winner of multiple awards, the Dauphine de Maurier. It's French, so I can't say it correctly, but the award for excellence in mystery thrillers. She has also been nominated for Rita's. I mean, she's got all these other awards. She's been on various best-selling lists, and she is known for writing gritty, sexy FBI thrillers. Toni, it is so good to see you.
Hi, nice to be here.
And with more than 30 books or novellas, you have had quite a writing career.
Yes, I've been doing it for a long time now, so probably 25 years.
So, how did you initially get into writing, and especially about FBI thrillers? Because your background was originally as a marine biologist.
That's right. Um, how did I start? I think I started because I just loved reading and I loved reading romantic suspense. And obviously, my work as a scientist wasn't keeping me busy enough. And in my spare time, I started to experiment writing books. And I don't know what the appeal about the FBI is. I think mainly it's because they can cover so much types of crime and jurisdiction. So that was kind of gave me a lot of scope to be able to write books and not kind of hem myself in too much.
Well, and a lot of what people really enjoy with your books are just how realistic they are and the various details that you're putting into all these different stories. So, what kind of research do you do to get that level of authenticity?
I do a lot of reading and a lot of well, all sorts of things. I used to have a contact at the FBI. I don't have them at the moment in public relations, and they will answer almost any question that you have, as long as they don't think you're up to no good. And I read just about every autobiography you could find on the FBI, especially when I started writing. So 20 years ago, there wasn't an awful lot, and the internet was, baby steps. So I would find all the autobiographies and I would listen to them or read them and glean a lot of information from that. And then I went to the Writers Police Academy a few times, and yeah, I don't know. That's kind of I just kind of fill myself with information, as much information as possible.
Well, how do you balance your books? Because you have, like I was saying, the level of authenticity for all of the technical and the task, or not the task, but the trade elements that go into it. But you also have such strong characters, and to overlay both of those with the overarching stories. I mean, what is it that comes to you first, or that you're first putting down on paper as you start drafting the
It
novels?
depends a little bit. Often it can be the crime and the how to answer that. It's a real balance in terms of finding the characters that are going to work together for a romance,
Mm.
and then how they're going to fit into a crime. It requires a lot of brain power for me, maybe for other people. They get it easily, and I try and always have it so that the either the hero or the heroine is um, is impacted by the crime, so that it's very immediate to them and it's very important to them. It's not just something they're investigating, but it's actually, affects their lives directly. And the balance I try to have kind of 50-50, I guess, and the police procedural aspects. But I always feel that the romance, I love police procedurals, but I actually don't read them unless there's a little hint of some sort of romance in there, because I just need that some emotional connection to a book for me to
Mhm.
really enjoy it. And I think I've gotten my writing comes from what I like to read. I don't. I'm thinking, I don't know, Suzanne Brockman. Some of her books were, very action heavy, but also very romancing, character heavy too. And of course, Nora Roberts is always the queen. So yeah, I don't know. I write them, and then I hope that I manage to achieve a good balance.
Well, the romance story is always what's dear to my heart and what I tend to gravitate to. I was reading another book recently and kept reminding myself, I'm like, this is not meant to be a romance. So don't get your hopes pinned on these various people.
So it's disappointing for you.
Luckily, things turned out okay. I wasn't completely brokenhearted, but I did have several moments where I'm like, okay, wait a second. And that's where I love with these types of stories because there's so many elements that keep you on the edge of your seat, and yet you're still going through with the different relationship elements. So as you're writing, are you a plotter or a pantser, or do you have those elements kind of paced out of like, okay, here's that gotcha scene for the readers, and do you know where it's ultimately going for that final ending?
Yeah, I used to be a really intense plotter, and I found over the years that I would plot, and then by 25% through, my plot was out the window and my characters were going off in a different direction. And I kind of found that that with the crimes happening, there was always some sort of piece of evidence that would come up that I suddenly realized I had to deal with in such a way, and that would kind of take me off in a tangent. And so I know a lot more than others. Yeah, it's hard to describe my process. I do plot a lot. I do think a lot about the whole thing, but actually, what I write down when I start writing the book, I kind of start with the bare bones, and it's kind of don't really know exactly what's happening, and then I'll write the first 25%, and then I've got a really good idea of which direction the evidence is going to take me, and also the pacing, what I needs to happen to move the case forward, and what needs to happen to move the romance forward. Because I'm one of those people who actually really hates conflicts naturally. So I would naturally have my two characters, they would be fall in love by the end of chapter 3, and that would be that. But so now I have to make sure that, okay, what is keeping these two apart? And it has to be something that seems realistic to readers, and that I believe in as when I'm the character, and what's authentic enough to keep them apart. For most of the book, they don't tend to really get together towards or to commit till near the end.
Mm-hmm. Do you keep some sort of journal or Bible or some kind of set of notes for all of your books? Because one of the other things that I love with your books is the interconnection with so many of the stories. I mean, you've got the original Cold Justice series, which has 10 books and novellas in it. And then, of course, the spinoff with the Negotiators and then the Most Wanted. And you've got certain characters, and I'm primarily thinking of Alex and Mallory here, who make appearances throughout so many of the books. So, how do you keep all those different elements straight so that it's like, okay, I can mention this in this particular book, or oh, wait, we haven't introduced this character yet, or nope, this plot point is not yet wrapped up, or I've got some dangling threads.
Yeah, I use a few different programs. So for the timeline itself, there's a program called Aeon or Eon, and I kind of have it plotted out from the first book with major scenes throughout, and it's a pretty complicated timeline now, as you can imagine. And then in terms of, I do have a Bible that I had some create for me, and it's great. But then I actually discovered that I can use Notebook LM, and I'm not a big user of AI in general, but for finding out what's actually in my own stories, I found it really helpful that I can go back and say, because sometimes I think I have mentioned something, or it was in the first draft, and then it got taken out. And I said, what did I mention this person's mother ever, or their name? And also I'll change names. So, what is the name of this character? And I found that very useful. I do have a kind of a master sheet of characters within my Scrivener files as well. So, and I always put my little, inspiration picture so I can imagine the person, normally as an actor or an actress. And that way it gives me an immediate connection to who I have created for that character. And even though there's a lot of names in the series, a lot of people, because I had that character image, then it kind of sucks me right in, and I know who's supposed to be doing what. And Alex and Mallory, I think I will go back and reread some of their scenes in the earlier books if I'm going to write in their point of view. But I don't often write in their point of view, even though they often appear in the books. So they tend to be point of view characters in the first book of a spin-off, and that's kind of deliberate to hope that the readers will enjoy the book and follow me into the spin-off.
Well, I do want to talk about the hero in this latest book with Kurt Montana. I mean, he has been really the head of the this particular group of the FBI, and for the Gold Team. But I mean, have readers been clamoring for his story for a while now?
No, not at all. I have to say no, and because it's kind of a spoiler for the series, the fact that he has a book at all, because in the first book of the Cold Justice Most Wanted, they believe he's dead, and they do everybody's mourning. So I have 5 books where everybody is in terrible mourning for this guy, that beloved guy to them. And I actually, even before writing his book, I was struggling, thinking how I don't, am I going to find him heroic enough? Because I kind of created him as quite a gruff character, older, in charge, quite a gruff character. So it didn't take long for me to at least for myself to think he was hero material. But I saw, people weren't clamoring for his book at all. So, but I'm really pleased
this
how it turned out.
presence, and it's like, what was going on? And I mean, so what was it like then to be able to bring him back to life, so to speak, and where he has his own book? And then, of course, pairing him where it's this fake relationship, age gap, and all the problems that ensue.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun actually. So I hadn't plotted this book, but I knew it was going to happen. So even from book 1, when they believe he's died, I know that he hadn't. And then I had the next 5 books, and there are various things happen in these books. And because his book, called Truth, the timeline arches across all of the first 5 books and then goes beyond. I had to be really, really careful to keep the timeline straight. But then he kind of just seemed to pop into my head as this quite a fully formed character. And once I was in his head, it was much easier to see, I don't know, his personality, I guess. I hadn't really gone into his psyche too much before that, but it was a lot of fun. And I set the book in various places that me and my family had traveled to. So Zimbabwe is one of the places, but other places in Africa too. And it was just a lot of fun to revisit those as a character on the run from bad guys.
Well, because I know that you do like to travel and travel extensively and to some of these locations. So when you are traveling, are you already, in a way, making notes about how you can use some of these locations in your stories?
Pretty much everywhere I go, we drive past police stations and take photographs, even when we're on vacation. I'm surprised I haven't been arrested yet, but it hasn't happened yet. Yeah, I'm always taking notes and picking up pamphlets and information, or just bookmarking them on online. My brain is always open to story material.
I am so surprised you've not gotten stopped yet for something like that, because when I went on this trip to Egypt at the beginning of the year, I was trying to be very clandestine as I was taking pictures of all the different police forces and as they were guarding various things, and so it wasn't quite so obvious, but it was just also so, I hate to say foreign, but really just so different from what you see in other parts of the world. And but I didn't want anyone to come after me of like, why are you taking photos?
Yeah, because there are obviously some places that would do that. So yeah, you have
I
to be
had the guide
cautious.
once saying, no, don't take a picture of those particular police stands there. They don't want it to be very obvious. And I'm like, oh, okay.
good advice.
Well, the other thing, I mean, even though we were talking about Kurt, you also have such strong female characters. And so many, Roe is a librarian in this one, but a lot of your other characters also are really predominantly in the STEM fields. So, with your own background, is this a very conscious decision of trying to incorporate that into so many of your stories?
I think it just comes naturally. I'm kind of surrounded, most of my friends are in STEM, and my husband still works in science. So most of the people I meet through him are scientists. And I have, I actually read a review, a poor review about one of my books, and the poor heroine is a barista and she owns a coffee shop. But you know, they weren't very impressed that she wasn't a little bit more accomplished than that, but which made me smile, because I do try to have a variety of characters in my books, because it's, you know, a bit, you don't have the same person over and over. This is the first
Oh,
time
yeah.
I've really done the age gap thing. But again, the heroine came to me, and there was a plot reason as well for the age gap, but the heroine
Mhm.
also came to me as a very mature, I think she's 28, 27, 28-year old. And I was just thinking, I know it's a big age gap, but it doesn't feel too difficult.
It doesn't feel like
There's a
cradle robbing in any way.
oh
No.
good.
Well, you say when they come to you, I mean, so are they, I always find this fascinating. I mean, are the characters talking to you? Is it a movie that you see in your head? What is that
Yeah.
scene like?
They are talking to me. I start, you know, I'll fill out my Scrivener files, and I'll start to play with ages and backgrounds. And I also thought one of the things I liked about Roe was that I could use my own hometown area to for her backstory, which is a really beautiful place in the UK. So I she didn't come to me as a fully formed person to start with, but by the time I'd written the first scene where they meet, and then the scene where she does find the dead body, I think I was able to really get inside her head as to who she was. And yeah, and I know that there's a little bit of an author in every heroine, so maybe there's a little bit of me in there too, but I don't know.
Well, as readers, we always want to know, what are you working on next? Can you drop us any clues?
I'm working on Cold Heat, which is the seventh book in the Most Wanted series, and that features Jordan Krychek and Daisy Montana. So they appear in Cold Truth, and now they are getting their own book. And I'm almost at the end of the first draft, but there's a lot of work to be done.
Okay, and so when are we gonna think that one comes out?
It's up for pre-order in May.
Okay.
I'm hoping to bring it forward, but we'll see. We'll see.
Mhm.
We'll see. But yes, it might be before the end of the year. I just haven't quite figured it out yet.
Okay, so if that's book number 7, how many books are you expecting to have probably in this series?
I think for the Most Wanted, I planned 10. It could go longer than that, but
Mhm.
I kind of have 10 in my head.
And what is it then that triggers you to go into another spin-off, or what is it of that break in the series? Since so many of these are interrelated, but they are right now 3 distinct series themselves. So what is
Yeah,
that trigger
um,
necessarily?
just maybe some of it's the interest in different types of crimes. So when I moved from the Cold Justice, the initial original series, it was a lot of, well, I mean, they're all different books, but there was just that wanting to the shift. I've always wanted to do a negotiator books, because I've always been fascinated with kidnap victims, and how you would cope in that situation. And just the art of negotiation is fascinating to me.
Mhm.
But I also found that after 5 books, I was kind of running out of where to go next with it, because
Mm.
you know it's still a very particular uh, subject and subgenre. And then I've always wanted to do the hostage rescue team, but I was waiting. A friend of mine had done them, written a series based on the hostage rescue team. I didn't want to do it at the same time as her, so I waited. I switched the negotiators first, and then I went to the HRT. And I find that fascinating. There's they can do all sorts of things, but then they are missing the kind of the minutiae of criminal investigation, I guess. So there's definitely the chance that I might go back to those type of books as well, and possibly with some original characters too.
So really dependent, like you said, on the type of crime where you can go with it, because I think that's one of those interesting elements, and sometimes it's, I know, pushed by the publisher, sometimes it's where the author is seeing it. But when you have those differences in how many books in each series, I'm always curious as to, okay, well, what was that decision point, and what is the decision point for yet going into a whole other area, and as far as different series? Do you find that you have to, oh, go ahead, sorry.
I always never like to say that a series is finished. I always think, I'd try and leave it open, because you never know that something might turn up.
Did you find that you had to get into a different headspace for your other series, because you have the Her series and you have some other standalones? Are those a different process when you go through those types of books?
They were a little bit different, and yes, to a degree, there was different headspace. So my the Dangerous Waters and Dark Waters were set in Canada, and set in the Vancouver Island, and there's a whole different process in terms of the law enforcement in Canada is very different. The RCMP, it's also a very different environment, kind of middle of nowhere town that relies very much on the water. So yes, the setting really played a massive role there. And then I've got some books set in Scotland.
Yeah, the Scotland ones, yes.
Yeah. So they were fun because I wrote them either when I was living in Scotland or just after I'd moved to Canada from Scotland. So it was all very fresh in my head, and taking a lot of my own life in terms of my backstory in those books. So I really enjoyed writing them, but they were a different kind of mindset for me. So this is much more, I feel like, straight. I know exactly, even though my storylines can go off on tangents, I know exactly what I'm getting into really with these ones.
Well, Toni, I want to switch over to what we call our fresh fiction facts. These are a series of rapid fire questions with answers, hopefully off the top of your head. Okay. And I'm actually going to piggyback a little bit on a question we were talking about before the recording. What would you do if you came across a murdered body?
Well, I'd hope I wouldn't take notes, but I would make sure the person was actually dead. Then I would, without disturbing the scene, and then I would step back and I would call 911. And then in the meantime, I would be glancing around everything and seeing if I could see any clues.
Who would you most want to be stuck in an elevator with?
Anybody or my characters?
Anybody.
Anybody. I think, well, actually, Alex Parker would be fun.
Where is your ideal paradise?
A beach somewhere, either Scotland or New Zealand.
A Scotland beach? Really?
Yeah.
They always just seem so over. Not what I think of when I think of beaches. I'm thinking more palm trees. Scotland's beautiful, but a different type of beach.
Marine biologist.
With everywhere that you've traveled, do you still have some place on your bucket list that you want to go?
Oh, yes. You mentioned Egypt earlier. I'd love to go to Egypt. That was the one big one. I haven't really done Thailand or Vietnam or anything like that, so that would be amazing.
Other than books, what is something that you own a ridiculous amount of?
Crockery. Plates. Yeah, that's probably the worst. The cupboards are full of them.
What is the craziest thing that you've bought online or as an as seen on TV item?
Oh, I'm a terror. I'm one of those people that clicks the ads and gets them. Oh, probably a CDs for exercising, which I never ever did.
Gosh. Yeah. Yep. Familiar with those, yes. Yes, those have their own various stacks and different room corners. Who do you think deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore of writing?
Oh, wow, that's a tricky one. Noah Roberts for sure. Hmm, Daphne du Maurier. Um, oh boy, I'm having a blank all of a sudden. Who do I? Hmm, I can't think. Um, who would I put up there? I really like. Who do I like? I forgot his name now. Uh, who writes the Evan Smoke books, Orphan X books? I'd put him up
Oh, Greg
there.
Hurwitz.
Yeah,
Greg Hurwitz.
I like
Yes,
him.
yeah,
I'd put him up there. And hmm, can I put my friends up there?
of course.
There you go, Rachel Grant. She would be up there. Who
It's a
else?
pretty good.
I don't know. Who else? I love Laura Griffin's book too, so
Mm.
she could go up there. I'm
Okay.
trying to think. They're all kind of romantic suspense. I do well, except for Greg's books, and I do read other stuff, but
There's some
mainly,
element of romance in Greg's books. I mean, he
yeah,
doesn't
that's
really,
true.
you wouldn't claim them as romance, but
There is this. Just a hint.
there are stretches. Yes, yes. Okay, you've been kidnapped, but they return you because you will not stop talking about what?
Writing. I know procedure.
What is the thing that you always forget at home when you're in a hurry?
Hmm. I don't forget much. I'm one of those people that has everything like stacked up, ready to go. Wow. I'd have to ask my husband. He'd probably know.
Oh, okay.
I
Well, I'm
know.
impressed
God.
with that. You know, I tried getting out of the car today and I had taken my keys out of my purse. And I'm like, why is the door not locking? Then realized, oh, because the keys are sitting in the cup holder, Samantha. That's why.
He'll do it.
What is the one item in your wardrobe that you absolutely love, but everybody else hates?
Ooh. Oh, oh, I've got some really funky. I guess I got some really funky leggings. They probably wouldn't like them very much. Yeah, I wear them when nobody else is around.
What is your most dog-eared book? The one that you constantly go back to reread, either for pleasure or for research.
Well, there's a couple. I haven't reread it for a little while because I spent the last 18 months um, reading the entire In Death series, and I finally caught up recently. Thank goodness. But I used to reread every year The Iron Duke by Mel Jean Brooke.
Oh, yeah.
And I am actually, even though I just finished the In Death series, I just went back to the first book because I'm really curious to see the difference between the last book and the characters, Rourke and Dallas, and the first book. And it was fascinating, actually. So
Oh,
I would
wow.
recommend that.
We'll have to talk about that in the after party because we've got several of our members who are online who are going through the series. Some of them jump around out of order, but okay. Yes. We all have our thoughts on that. And it's been a while since I've done the Iron Duke. That is one that's on my list to go back and complete that series because I haven't finished it.
Yeah. Oh, I know the books are long, but I love her books and her oh, what is the barbarian ones? They're just
Mm,
just
hmm.
great. Oh, Miller Vate. So she writes That's Millervane, but it's the same. It's Melting Brook. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Gosh. Who are some authors that you're other authors that you're are on your must buy list? The ones that as soon as something comes out, you have to go ahead and one click it.
Who C.S. Oh, Harris, who writes the Sebastian St. Cyr books. Greg Hurwitz, with the Orphan X books. Laura Griffin, anything she writes, I'll buy. Who else? I like Annika Martin's Billionaires of Manhattan series. I love those. Who else? Well, J.D. Robb. And I do actually like comedy and stuff, but I'm trying to think off the top of my head whose author buys. I don't think I have any of them except for Annika's books.
Who would be, if you were going to do one, who would be your dream writer collaboration?
Ooh, oh, J.D. Robb.
Okay.
Okay. Just say hi.
Hey, why not? Hey, okay. Well, Toni, one of our most important questions is where is the best place for our readers and listeners to stay up with what's going on with you and find out any news?
I have my website, I guess, ToniAndersonAuthor.com. And that's got lists to everything from my newsletter, where you can get a book for signing up to my newsletter, and also my Facebook and social links, probably Facebook, but also Instagram. I do have TikTok, but I don't think I'm very good at TikTok.
A lot of us are still learning on the TikTok element, yes. Okay, fresh fiction readers, you heard it here. You can go to Toni's website and find out all the different books, but the latest one that's out in her series is Cold Truth, where you can hear the story about Roe and Kurt. And otherwise, if you don't want to start with that one, there is an entire backlist of more than 30 books of Toni's that you can go check out. Toni, it was so great to see you tonight.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.